What are you doing? He said, we're here. He said, we're here. We're queer. Get used to it. That's the wrong chant, Django. You're not queer. You just had your balls cut off. It's different. Hey everybody, welcome to Shooting the Shit with Yankee. As always, I'm Yankee, so let's start shooting. Today's topic is one for people that can rationally deal with hypothetical situations. Because I know there's always the Rambos that are like, I won't settle for nothing less than total victory when it comes to the Second Amendment. And I'm like, good for you, Rambo. Save it for the rallies, although I don't really see you at the rallies, so I don't know if you're as devoted as you pretend to be online. But this question is for people that can actually deal with a hypothetical rationally. And the question is, if you could choose one or the other to be legal in all 50 states, everywhere you go that's public, other than maybe courthouses and, like I said, private property. If it could either be you could legally conceal carry anywhere you want to go, or you can open carry anywhere you want to go. Which one would you prefer and why? I'm going to start us out here because I'm going to say open carry. I would rather be able to open carry everywhere. I would love to see that other people out there are carrying. It would let us know that people are there and able to defend themselves. Plus, I think it'd be a huge deterrent to crime if people were open carrying, because they always say, oh, bad guy walks into a convenience store to rob it. He sees someone carrying, he'll shoot them first. Never seen any evidence of that. Seen lots of interviews with bad guys who've said things like, walked into the 7-Eleven, the guy checking out the counter had a gun on his hip, so I went and looked at like I was shopping for chips for a few minutes till he left, and then I robbed the place. See a lot of that. Don't see a lot of evidence that they would just shoot the armed person first. Most bad guys don't want to get in a gun battle. That's not what they're there for. They're there to score some money or property, etc. So I think it'd be a huge deterrent to crime, because even if a bad guy would walk in and see one armed guy and say, well, I'm taking him out first and then doing my crime. Well, what would he do if there's 3, 4 of them? If you go to the grocery store and one out of every 5 people's got a gun on their hip, you think the bad guy's just going to choose which one to shoot first? And do you think he's going to think to himself, I can get all these people before one of them gets me? No, he's going to be like, this is a fight I don't want to be in. So I think it'd be a huge deterrent. Plus, there'd be advantages, like you went to a basketball game or a concert and you're open carrying. Well, you wouldn't even have to go through the metal detectors. You could be like, you can go on in. They'd have to check at people who weren't carrying to see if they were carrying something illicitly, because good guys got nothing to hide. So I think there'd be a lot of advantages. Plus, I think it would help the people of the community to see that people that carrying aren't doing bad things. In fact, I think we could shift the popular opinion in our culture to, oh, that guy's got a gun, he looks suspicious, to, oh, I feel totally safe because there's 4 guys in here with guns. Look at that old dude over there's got a gun. That young guy's got a gun. They all got them in holsters. They're doing their business, shopping for sandpaper or whatever, and I feel safe now. But even if I didn't carry today. So I just think the benefits of open carry far outweigh the disadvantages. So, and when you're concealed carrying, I don't really know if that advances anything. Plus, it always to me makes it seem like you got to hide it because people are offended by it. And I don't want to cater to that. So I like open carry. Now, bad guys will still conceal carry because bad guys don't want you to know they have a gun. And plus, a lot of people can't legally have a gun, which I think they should be able to if they're out of prison, but that's not the case. I don't get to set the rules, unfortunately. So you'd still have bad guys conceal carrying. That's why people would have to go through metal detectors at concerts just to get the bad guys. Good guys would already be open carrying and go in. So like I said, I think there's way too many advantages to open carry to discard it. So if I could only choose one, of course I want people to be able to choose how they want to carry. But what I think would be best for the Second Amendment, best for the community, best for gun rights, etc., would be open carry everywhere by everyone. And with that being said, let's go see what other people have to say, if they agree or disagree with me. Johnny Mandrick says, I would go concealed, even if it was legal. To number of people calling the cops in a panic would be ridiculous. If it was legal to open carry everywhere, that cops wouldn't answer the call. They'd be like, are they breaking a law? No, open carry is legal. So sorry you're offended, but open carry is legal. Now you could say, well, people would all start making up fake crimes and say he's waving his gun around and threatening people. Well, it turns out that's not true. Those people are going to jail. So most people, a few of those going to jail, would die real quick. Remember, they started that kind of movement online a couple of years ago where they want to report suspicious, even if you got to make it seem worse than it is, do it. And they stopped that real quick because a couple of people went to jail and the people sponsoring it got in trouble. So, yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem. Mr. Furley, concealed. I've always preferred this method. Well, this isn't about what was preferred, but it's what you would rather have legal everywhere. And apparently that's concealed for you. I think that's an option, but it's not the one I would choose. Heavy J, open carry, my experience has been positive. Mine's been positive too. I open carried today. I went down to the store, went to the hardware store, just had a t-shirt and my gun. So like I'm dressed right now, except I took my belt off because it was getting a little tight. I don't like having the extra weight on my hip if I don't need it. Mikey D says, like Mandrick, concealed, people would lose their minds. Why do you want to base a right on whether people react positively to it or not, though? It's like saying you should never say anything offensive because people will lose their minds. Even if it's true, don't say it because people will lose their minds. It's like people who dance around the fact that, like, why are more black people being shot by cops? Well, it's because more black people interact with cops because they do commit more crimes. Now, if you want to say, is there a bias in police against black people? Well, it's not really a bias if the stats back it up. Now, that doesn't happen because they're black. It happens more because of social conditions and economic conditions. But people will say it's racist to admit the truth. Should we never admit the truth because people lose their minds? Edgar Cortez says, well, if I have to choose, open carry. I conceal carry 90% of the time, but I'm not prepared to give up open carry. Well, I'm not prepared to give up concealed carry either. But if I only could have one, it'd be open. Because like I said, I think it'd be better for everybody involved, to be honest. Pigar said concealed carry because police will say if they can see your firearm, well, he was armed, so he is dangerous. Well, if it's legal to carry everywhere, that won't be an argument for police. Police won't be able to have that argument. If you can't say, well, I shot him because he was dangerous because he was speaking his mind. No, if it's legal to open carry everywhere, you can't just go around shooting people or treating them. Every cop who treated someone like they were dangerous because they were exercising their rights would end up, in prison if people did it right. Gummy Wuzzle, concealed, but I'm built like a polar grizzly. So we think it'd be easier for you to open carry. Well, I don't know. Maybe you stick it under a titty. If you get a small gun, that's always the way to do it. You could always stick like a sea camp under a titty. Have one under each titty. That way you're prepared. Even if someone tells you to throw the gun down on your hip, next thing they know, think about it. Where was I? Was that Gummy Wuzzle? That was Gummy Wuzzle. Danny Pimp, whatever. Open to deter violence. I think that would be a part of it. That would definitely be a deterrent to violence if more people carried. Unfortunately, I think at first it would just be a sad example of how few people carry because you wouldn't see as many guns as you think you would. But hopefully that would change, as people became more comfortable with it and realize, hey, these other people are carrying guns, I better too. I don't care why they start doing it. Just do it. The Bat Biker says, open. I'm fat, so comfortable is paramount. Yes, comfortable is paramount to me too. I like to be comfortable. It's hard to be at my age. I'm seldom ever comfortable. Even when I'm laying in bed at night, I'm like, my back hurts. Oh, my shoulder hurts. Oh, let's go sleep so I can quit feeling this aching. I've not been good to my body over the years, though. I've broken a lot of bones, torn a lot of muscles, punctured a lung, or deflated a lung. Open carry so I could have a new reason to judge people's poor tastes. That would be something. It would be nice to see what other people carry. Although I try never to be too judgmental when someone's carrying something. The fact that they're carrying usually just makes me happy. I mean, of course, I'm going to quietly judge people, but it's kind of like what I teach my kids. Like, you never, ever, ever. This is one thing I always told when I was little. I don't ever, ever, ever want to hear you make fun of someone because of the way they're dressed. Like, oh, they wear the same shirt almost every day, or oh, their jeans are old and ratty, or anything. I don't ever, ever want you to judge anyone by what they wear, because that might be all they have to wear. That might be the only clothes they have. You know, not everyone has what you have. So I never, ever allowed my kids to be made fun of to make fun of anyone for that. Same thing with my mom. Same thing when we were kids. We were the poor kids, and we were never allowed to make fun of anybody for anything, even if they were more poor than us, because at least we had clothes, because my grandmother could sew and would make clothes for my sister and us, everything, made some of our shirts and everything. So we had clothes, and my grandmother was a huge yard sailor, so we always had clothes. There were some kids that didn't have clothes. You know, so if we'd have made fun of someone for their clothes, my mom would have beat our ass. Danny Pint says, I will add the caveat of maximum holster retention. Well, hopefully people would carry good holsters if they're going to open carry. I don't want to see people running around with, you know, nylon Uncle Mike's holsters. Well, if they have the strap, it's not so bad. But the ones that don't have straps, they just don't hold your gun well. I've had a bad experience with that before myself, back when I was a baby carrier. Practical Bacon said, concealed. If a person is carrying, it's their business. I could see issues with open being mistaken as a threat by some aunties and leading to problems. Well, so like I said, I don't judge what I think should be right or wrong by how the most ridiculous people react to it. Sean Bain said, con eel. I think that might mean concealed, or he's talking about an eel that's been to prison. I'm not sure which. Jeff Patterson weighed in and said, concealed. So we got another concealed here. I haven't been keeping track. Has anybody been keeping track of whether it's more concealed or open? I think it's more concealed. Danny Pint says, for Gen Pop, concealed probably offers more security. Well, yeah, probably. Georgia Trucker 69 said, concealed because legal doesn't mean accepting. Don't create a confrontation. Well, I think if you're going to make change, you have to have confrontation. I don't think change happens without confrontation. And I think the status quo, the people that maintain the status quo to maintain power and position, they don't want change. So they want everybody to be polite. Don't offend anybody, because they don't want to see any change. Squirrel and Wesson, concealed. You don't want the nut jobs to easily know what to take out first if they're plotting to get stupid. Yeah, well, are they going to get stupid if there's 10 armed people around? I think I would rather prevent them. You know, it's that stitch in time saves 9 thing. Better to prevent a crime than react to it. Because what if you just happen to be the one they shoot first anyway? You're the one person in the store carrying when they come in, and they shoot you first anyway, just to make a point. They don't even know you're carrying. So they shoot you first. You know, so what's the point? I would rather have that crime be deterred. Daniel Pettit, open carry. Maybe it will deter the dumbasses from doing stupid stuff. I think it would do some. Now, would it do it at first? No, I don't think it'd do much at first, because I don't think there'd be a whole lot of people carrying. There's not a lot of places I go where I see a lot of people carrying open or concealed. You can usually tell if someone's concealed carrying. Although I will say that the hardware store here in Washougal, almost every time I go in there, I see somebody else open carrying. I'm usually one of 2 old guys in there open carrying. And every great once in a while, there's a young guy in there open carrying. Of course, what I consider young now is different, but it's like today I saw a guy in a really nice old 70s GMC truck, mint condition, purple paint job with the rainbow metal flake in it. It was gorgeous. And I was like, I gave him a thumb up as I was going around him, because he was going the other way and I was coming, it was at a turn, and I gave him the thumb up and he thumbed up back at me. And I was like, that old dude knows what's going on. That's a nice truck. And then I was like, that old dude's probably a couple of years younger than me. But I was thinking he's an old dude, because he's probably about 50, 55. Donald Richardson says, I would definitely open carry if Florida allowed it. So much more comfortable. It's extremely comfortable. People don't understand how much more comfortable it is. I think people would be more likely to carry if they could open carry. Pocket Stand said, concealed carry. I would much rather those around me be ignorant of my full capabilities until it's too late. You know, I don't understand that. Why do you want? That's almost like I want to encourage people to go to do nutty stuff. I don't want them to know that they can't get away with it. See, I always have a little bit of that argument with that. Until it's too late, keep the undesirables guessing who has what. Well, I'd rather they see, hey, everybody in here's got me outgunned, and there's more of them. I'd much rather see that. Ernesto Castillo, open, faster, easier draw. It does have a lot of tactical advantages. I will say that. Boss Hug, and he's going to be our last way in today. I said, concealed. I can't have my wife seeing a new gun. Well, you just tell her it's an old gun and she's losing her fucking marbles. And then if she gives you shit about having a new gun, well, if your wife gives you trouble because you got a new gun, that's when you start introducing her to everybody as your first wife or your current wife and see if she gets the point and see if she changes her tone a little bit. Because, you know, there are other wives out there, potential wives. You only had one chance to buy that, you know, gun you got right there. But thanks everybody for weighing in. I think concealed kind of came out on top, but like I said, I'm definitely in the open carry camp. So how about you people out there in YouTube world? What do you think? Which would you rather have and why? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to weigh in on one of these conversations live, come to our live chat. We do them every day at 6 p.m. except for Wednesdays when we're going back to 7 p.m. So come on in. Let us hear what you think on the topic of the day. And then stick around to the open chat, the America Guns and Freedom chat that we do immediately after this one. We stay live here. So don't go anywhere. Stick around for that. Talk about whatever you want because that's an open chat. So I want to say thanks to everybody who participated. Thanks in advance for everybody who participates in the comment section. I hope to see y'all again tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.